So Dave, speaking of Canvas LMS, I completely changed the design of a course I was building based on some advice that you gave me when we were talking. I'd love to just tell the audience what I did and why. So
All
I
right, yeah.
built this course and I put it into edX and Coursera. It was a course for people helping veterans called Supporting Veteran Success for admins, teachers, people on college campuses to get to know the veteran population. And I put it into edX and Coursera, and then I wanted to put it into Canvas LMS. And the course, the way I designed it, it has 30 subsections, and each subsection is exactly the same, where you would start by reading a scenario to consider. You read a scenario, you think through how you might respond to that. Then there's some video content. Then there's some video takeaways and resources and notes for you to keep thinking about. And then there's that same scenario, but now it's a quiz question where you could take give the best answer, and then there's feedback. And that's how every subsection was created in this course. But when I got to Canvas LMS, it just looked like so much. It looked daunting and unwieldy because there were so many units, and I didn't know if I should make 30 modules or 30 sections with headers. I had hundreds of units, and it just didn't look right. It looked too large. It looked too overwhelming. So we were talking, and you had brought up this great idea by saying, have you considered the Canvas LMS quiz as sort of a container to hold the whole subsection? Because in a Canvas quiz, you could opt for a question type, which is text, no question. So by doing that, I could create a sort of navigation through this subsection. I put in the scenario as text. I then put in another text question, but embed the YouTube video. Then another text component with takeaways and resources and links, and then put an actual Canvas multiple choice quiz question with feedback. And what happened was, because you're putting in these questions into one quiz, you get arrows to navigate through, one, which was awesome. And you also have something that's sort of self-contained. So now what I did for that course was I built 30 quizzes instead of 30 modules or 30 sections. I built 30 quizzes. So if you go to the module section or the quiz section, you just see the 30 quizzes. And it became more something that you could sort of wrap your head around. So whenever you had 30 minutes of time, you could pick one of those quizzes, click it, open it, read the scenario, watch the video, look at the resources, and then take a shot at answering the question, and then you were done. And it just seemed to be the cleaner way of doing this. And it was just a fantastic idea. So I always wanted to say thank you for that. And I also wanted to be able to share it with our group. So it really changed the design of that course. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad that it worked.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you create like each module, and you don't have to have a million pages in each module, which you see in Canvas courses all the time, because right. Canvas courses are, basically prone to feature creep a lot, especially when you have, a faculty member who is, they know their stuff so well, and they know this stuff is nuanced, and they want to just continue to add new stuff. Oh yeah, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And they get caught up in like seductive details that are important, but not, they're not necessary, but they're sufficient, kind of thing. Like they are important, but they're not necessary to the learning objective. And what you've kind of created in using the quiz tool are like individual learning objects, or learning that have chunks in them. So you're chunking out relevant content that learners engage with one at a time in a package. They know exactly where it is. They can revisit it. And they can go at their own pace. They can go back, and it's in multiple modes. You have text, a scenario that they think through. So you're pulling out active processing They have to select, organize, and integrate information. So they select the relevant information, they organize it into some kind of meaningful structure. Then that gets reinforced with the video. So there's a new mode, switches their attention, keeps them engaged. They connect those two things, and then they are challenged with an active or cognitive processing task, which is make sense of this, integrate this with your prior knowledge to make it meaningful. And that becomes a learning object that is directly connected to a learning objective, and you package that so it doesn't seem overwhelming. They're not overloaded. Brevity is the overriding quality. You're so targeted in what it is you're teaching them. They're going to get the most out of it. And when you ask them those questions, whether it's a quiz question or it's like an open-ended question where they have to generate and, actively retrieve information from their prior knowledge and connect it with things that are now in their working memory, makes super, super strong connections. But now they have a log of that thinking, because each response is connected to those quiz or those quizzes or those quiz questions, and they are attached to their relevant information. So they can go back, and it acts as like a notebook for them. So that has like a lot of really great implications. I wish we used it more. I'm so glad that it worked out for you. Was it a lot of work?
No. Once you get into the rhythm of it and you know what you're adding and you know how to add the questions, it's not hard at all. You get into a rhythm like anything in course design, and you just bang it out. So no, it wasn't hard to build, and it made sense. I think when people looked at the course, it was a lot easier to navigate this course and wrap their head around it. So yeah, I might not use that strategy for every course I build, but that's the great part of what we do. Every course needs a little bit of a different design and a reason for it. And I think your advice was the perfect fix, or the perfect pedagogy for this particular course. So thank you.
You're welcome. You also added feedback onto it, which makes it 10 times more powerful.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome. It's just a cool way of like leveraging something as kind of dull as an LMS to make it more engaging, make it more interesting, make it also more interesting for the person designing it.
Yeah,
more editable.
Right.
I think that it's a cool way to think about creating content for instruction specifically.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because we got together and had a conversation about it. And I think that's really what this whole podcast is about. I'm trying to get people to be able to come together to ask each other questions or get help from each other. It's in LinkedIn. It's in different social media channels. But in LinkedIn, hey, click on your handle and see if you want to, if someone can pick your brain, or you could pick someone else's brain, or I see you're in this LMS, whatever it is. I feel like that's how a lot of we get smarter, just by helping each other, so that's the whole purpose of this. So yeah.